UFO sightings, man. They've been freaking people out for decades. We're talking strange lights, weird objects, encounters that seem like they're straight out of a movie. Some people brush it off as nonsense, but others, they think it's something more, something extraterrestrial. And you know what? Some of these stories, they really make you wonder. We're talking about sightings by pilots, military personnel, everyday people who have no reason to lie. They've seen something unexplained. So what's the deal? Are we alone in the universe? Up at the sky, and they see something incredible. Imagine this, a massive V-shaped formation of lights just hovering there in the sky. We're not talking about a couple of blinking lights. This thing was huge, like something out of Close Encounters. People freaked out, man. They called the news, they called the cops. Everyone was seeing it. And it wasn't just for a few seconds. This thing hung around for hours. Some witnesses said the lights seemed to move independently, changing formation like it was being controlled by some kind of intelligence. The Air Force, they eventually said it was just flares, military flares, but a lot of people who saw it, they weren't convinced. They said the lights were too big, too bright, too organized to be flares. To this day, the Phoenix lights remain one of the most well-documented, most witnessed UFO events ever. And you know what? No one has been able to fully explain it. This one, man, this one will mess with you. It's a story that will make you question everything you think you know about reality. It's 1961. Betty and Barney Hill, a couple from New Hampshire, are driving home one night after a vacation in Canada. They're driving through the mountains, and that's when things get weird. The night is dark, the road is winding, and suddenly they notice something unusual. They see a strange light in the sky, and then, boom, they lose time. Hours just vanish. It's like they were plucked out of reality. When they finally get home, they're totally disoriented, their clothes are ripped, and they have no memory of what happened. It's as if they were in a daze. At first, they just brush it off as a weird experience. Maybe they were just tired, they think. Maybe it was just a bad dream. But then the nightmares start. Vivid, disturbing nightmares about being abducted by strange beings. These dreams are too real to ignore. They go see a psychiatrist, a guy named Benjamin Simon, and he starts hypnotizing them. He wants to get to the bottom of these strange occurrences. And under hypnosis, they start to remember. The memories come flooding back, and they are more bizarre than they could have ever imagined. They remember being taken aboard a spacecraft, being examined by these beings with large eyes and grey skin. It's like something out of a science fiction movie. Their story became a sensation. It captured the imagination of the public and the media alike. It was one of the first widely reported alien abduction stories, and it had a huge impact on how people thought about UFOs. It opened up a whole new realm of possibilities. Were Betty and Barney telling the truth? Could their story be real, or was it just a figment of their imaginations? Was their story a product of their imaginations, or did something truly terrifying happen to them that night? The mystery remains unsolved, leaving us to wonder what really happened. Chapter 4 of 1980, the Rendlesham Forest Encounter. All right, let's head over to the UK for this one. We're diving into one of the most intriguing and mysterious UFO encounters in history. It's 1980, and we're in Rendlesham Forest, right near a couple of US Air Force bases. This place is about to become the epicenter of a bizarre event, and something strange is going down. The forest is dark, the moonlight casting eerie shadows. It starts with security patrols seeing weird lights in the forest. These lights are unlike anything they've seen before. They go to investigate, and that's when they see it. A metallic object, triangular shape, just sitting there in the trees. It's not moving, just hovering silently. These aren't some random civilians, these are trained military personnel. They know how to assess situations and identify threats. They get close to the object. They even touch it and they describe it in detail. The surface is smooth, almost otherworldly. The next day they find strange markings on the ground where the object was, like burn marks or indentations. It's as if something heavy and hot had been there, and some of the guys who were there, they start feeling sick, disoriented, like they were exposed to something. It's not just a mild discomfort, it's serious. The whole thing gets hushed up, of course. The military doesn't want this kind of story getting out. The official explanation, it was just a lighthouse. They claim the lights were from a nearby lighthouse. A lighthouse? Come on, man. That explanation doesn't sit well with anyone who was there. The Rendlesham forest incident, it's like the UK's version of Roswell. It's shrouded in mystery and controversy. It's this big, unexplained event with multiple witnesses, strange physical evidence, and the government just trying to sweep it under the rug. The truth is still out there, waiting to be uncovered. Chapter 5, 1989. The Belgian UFO Wave. Now, this one is wild. Seriously, if you think you've heard it all, think again. We're talking about a massive wave of UFO sightings, not just a few isolated incidents. This was a phenomenon that captured the attention of an entire nation. This was happening all over Belgium, and it went on for months. From small towns to big cities, people were looking up and seeing the same thing. It started in late 1989. People started reporting these huge, silent, triangular-shaped craft in the sky. These weren't just fleeting glimpses, they were often seen hovering for extended periods. And we're not talking about a couple of blurry photos, these things were being picked up on radar. Multiple radar stations confirmed the presence of these unidentified objects. The Belgian Air Force, they even scrambled F-16 fighter jets to try and intercept these things. This wasn't just a civilian matter, the military was deeply involved. The pilots, they locked onto the objects with their radar, but the UFOs, they were moving too fast, making these incredible maneuvers that the jets just couldn't keep up with. Imagine the frustration and bewilderment of those pilots. Think about that, trained pilots in advanced fighter jets being outmaneuvered by something they couldn't even identify. It was like nothing they had ever encountered before. The Belgian government, they took it seriously. This wasn't something they could just sweep under the rug. They even held a press conference admitting that they had no explanation for what was going on. This level of transparency was unprecedented. The Belgian UFO wave, it's one of the most compelling UFO cases out there. The sheer volume of sightings and the credibility of the witnesses make it a standout. It was well documented, witnessed by thousands of people, and it remains unexplained to this day. Despite numerous investigations, no one has been able to provide a definitive answer. Chapter 6. The truth is still out there, so there you have it. 5 of the most famous, most baffling UFO sightings ever recorded. We're talking about crashed objects, strange lights, military encounters, even alien abductions. Are all of these stories true? Are some of them hoaxes or misinterpretations? It's hard to say for sure, but one thing's for certain, there's a lot we don't know about what's going on in our skies. Maybe it's all explainable, maybe it's just a matter of time before we figure it out. But maybe, just maybe, there's something else out there, something we haven't even begun to understand. Outro, what do you think? So, we've gone down the rabbit hole, man. We've looked at some of the craziest, most compelling UFO stories out there. Roswell, Phoenix Lights, Betty and Barney Hill, Rendlesham Forest, the Belgian UFO wave. It's enough to make you question everything you thought you knew about the universe. I mean, think about it. The vastness of space, the possibility of other life forms, the idea that we might not be alone. It's mind-blowing, man. What do I think? I don't know, man. It's hard to say, but I'll tell you this. I'm keeping an open mind, and I think you should too.